Hey everyone,
Marcus
what
Webb
would
had always
YOU do
considered
if your
himself
alien
a
roommate
pretty
walked in on you
open-minded
and instead of
guy.
leaving, she just stood
He'd
there,
volunteered
glowing?
for the Interspecies Cohabitation Program without much hesitation. The government pamphlet had made it sound simple enough. Share your apartment with a newly arrived alien exchange visitor. Help them adjust to human culture. Get a generous monthly stipend in return. Easy money. Easy living. No complications. That was 3 weeks ago. Before Lyra. She arrived on a Tuesday evening, standing in his doorway with violet skin that shimmered faintly under the hallway light, long purple hair falling past her shoulders, and 2 delicate pointed ears that flickered nervously when she was uncertain. White arcane-looking tattoos traced patterns across her collarbone and arms. Markings she later explained were her family lineage written in the old language of her home world, Vaildris. She was tall, strikingly beautiful in the most alien way possible, and absolutely terrified of the microwave. Marcus had done his best. He labeled everything in the kitchen. He explained traffic lights, Netflix, and why humans kept small dogs in handbags. Lyra absorbed information like a sponge, asking questions constantly, wide-eyed, gesturing dramatically with her long purple fingers whenever something surprised her, which was often. She was curious. Relentlessly, exhaustingly, endlessly curious. And that curiosity, Marcus would soon learn, had no concept of human boundaries. It happened on a Thursday morning, the kind of ordinary Thursday that has absolutely no right to change your life. Marcus had just stepped out of the shower. Steam filled the bathroom. His towel hanging uselessly on the hook he'd forgotten to grab before stepping under the water. He stood at the sink, wiping fog from the mirror, completely and utterly unaware that Lyra had a question about the toaster. The bathroom door swung open. Lyra stood in the doorway, one hand raised mid-knock, a knock she had clearly intended to deliver before her impatience won. Her turquoise eyes going wide as twin moons. Her pointed ears shot straight upward, rigid with shock. The white tattoos on her skin pulsed faintly, the way Marcus had noticed they did whenever her emotions spiked. For exactly 3 seconds, neither of them moved. Marcus grabbed the nearest thing, a hand towel embarrassingly small, and pressed it against himself with the dignity of a man who had absolutely none left. "Lyra," he yelped. "The toaster," she said, completely frozen, "is making the burning smell again. Get out." She blinked, ears flattening against her head. Then she backed out slowly, pulling the door shut behind her with the careful precision of someone who had just detonated something and was trying to quietly leave the blast zone. Marcus stood there for a long moment, staring at his own mortified reflection. He dressed slowly. He considered moving to another city. He briefly researched whether the Interspecies Cohabitation Program had a witness protection option. Did not. When he finally emerged into the kitchen, Lyra was standing by the counter, arms crossed, pretending to study the toaster with the intense focus of someone absolutely not thinking about what had just happened. The toaster was fine. There was no burning smell. Marcus was almost certain she had made that up. "Lyra," he started. "I knocked," she said immediately, which was technically a lie, and they both knew it. "You knocked after you opened the door." Her ears flicked. "On your planet, the sequence is flexible?" No, it is not flexible. Knocking comes before opening. That is the entire purpose of knocking." She turned to face him then, and he could see the genuine confusion written across her features. Not guilt, not embarrassment, just honest bewilderment. On Vaildris, she had explained once, private physical space was a learned concept, not an instinctive one. Communal bathing, communal sleeping quarters. Bodies were simply bodies. The idea that a human would feel shame about being seen was something she understood intellectually but hadn't yet absorbed emotionally. I did not mean to cause discomfort, she said quietly. Her tattoos had dimmed slightly. They always did when she was subdued. On my world, walking in means you are welcome. It means you are not a stranger. Marcus exhaled slowly. He wanted to stay angry. He really did. But she was looking at him with those enormous turquoise eyes, ears tilted downward in a posture he'd learned meant genuine remorse, and she was so clearly not trying to be awful. She was just trying to understand a world that had completely different rules than the one she came from. Okay, he said finally. New rule. Door closed means knock. Knock means wait. Wait means I will tell you when you can come in. We're putting this on a list. Lyra nodded seriously, pulling out the small notebook she carried everywhere for exactly this purpose. Human customs, she called the list inside it. She clicked her pen. Knock. Wait. Enter. In that order. In that exact order. She wrote it down with the solemnity of someone signing a treaty. Something shifted after that morning, though neither of them named it right away. Lyra began leaving little offerings outside his door before knocking. A cup of the strange herbal tea she brewed from plants she'd somehow ordered online, a piece of fruit she thought he might like. Once a small stone she said was a veil-drying symbol for I see you and mean you no harm. Marcus started waking up earlier, not because he had to, but because she made coffee wrong in fascinating ways that he'd apparently decided required supervision and gentle correction. He started explaining things differently. Not as rules she had to memorize, but as the reasons behind the rules, the vulnerability, the trust, the strange human way of building closeness by agreeing on what was private and what was shared. She listened differently too, not as a student taking notes, but as someone genuinely trying to understand him, not just his species. One evening, sitting on the couch with the television on low, she asked him why humans wrapped themselves in so many invisible walls. He thought about it for a long time. Because, he said finally, when someone chooses to let you past one, it actually means something. Lyra was quiet. Her tattoos glowed softly in the dim light. Her ears, usually in motion, went perfectly still. That, she said slowly, is actually beautiful. Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, the violet skin and the glowing marks and the enormous curious eyes, and thought that maybe,